Welcome to the hills of Berkeley. I'm Sandra and I teach yoga and some other stuff too. And if you ever choose to come to my yoga class, you will often hear me talking about grounding the thigh bones, because most of us growing up in the West, sitting in chairs and in other places too, wind up having our thigh bones a little bit ahead in our hip sockets. So because of that, we don't have as much mobility. So one of the things I often teach is how to come into Dandasana. Of course, you have to fold your socks nicely. You're just kidding, you don't always need socks. But to come into Dandasana, staff pose, by moving from the thigh bones, not so much from your knees. So for most people, to start with, and I don't have a blanket, I'm looking around, I don't see any good logs, but you want to be able to sit in such a way that when even in cross-legged, when you're sitting, your back is not rounding. So that would mean, if you're sitting cross-legged, you're not like this and struggling to sit up. If you are, then I ask you to take a blanket and please sit up on the front edge of a blanket. Imagine this was a blanket. You put it under your sit bones, and almost as if you're sliding off of it. So that's going to help your spine stay long. All right, so with or without a blanket or a block, depending what you need. But like you do, if you want to play with this, is you take your feet out in front of you and have your feet parallel, maybe about hips distance apart, and then you take your hands and place them under your thighs in the area I call the belly of the hamstring. So right in the middle of your thighs, and your fingers kind of go up into your upper inner thighs, and then you begin to press your hands into your thighs into your hands to get a little traction. Okay? So then you get that traction, your spine lengthens, maybe the back of your head can be in line with your sacrum. So we're trying to avoid these kinds of postures. We're on the front edge of our sit bones, the front edge of our pelvis, and then you begin to press your hands into your thighs into your hands, so that in order to straighten the legs, the thigh bones move, but your spine doesn't. So the knees go along for the ride. I don't know if you can see that with my baggy pants, but there's a difference between just straighten your legs by plunking your knees down, which for many people will go into your back, or really moving from their thigh bones so your knees go along for the ride. And then as you straighten your legs more and more, you reach through your heels, open up the spaces between your toes, engage the muscles of your thighs, encourage your spine to lengthen. So we come into a pose called Dandasana. You might take your hands by your side or behind your back and breathe. Breathing is very, very important. And we just hold this pose for a little while. You could hold it for 5 breaths. You could hold it for 5 minutes. You could hold it maybe for 5 hours. Probably not. But just to get a sense of how this pose, Dandasana, the staff pose, is one of those poses that looks easy, but is actually quite challenging. So I invite you to enjoy Dandasana with rounded thigh bones.